All right, so we're diving into this whole AI thing today and whether it can actually replace engineers.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, it feels like it's everywhere online right now.
For sure.
We've got like a ton of articles, even a response from ChatGPT, so
Go out.
I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah.
What I keep thinking about is like, should engineers be worried? Is this like a threat or is it something to be excited about?
That's interesting because AI is already like changing how engineering works.
Really?
Yeah, and in some ways that you might not expect.
Okay, so like, what are we talking about here? Give me an example.
Like right now,
Yeah.
not even in the future.
Okay.
It's already happening.
So it's not just like robots taking over?
No. It's more subtle than that,
Okay,
but it's still a big deal.
I see. I see.
One thing that really jumped out at me from these articles, like this one from the California Learning Resource Network, it was talking about software like ANSYS,
Okay.
and it uses AI to test designs virtually.
Oh, so instead of building a prototype?
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
It's like way faster and cheaper, right? Because
Yeah.
you're not building all these physical prototypes every time you want to change something.
It's like a digital testing ground.
Yeah, exactly. Like a digital sandbox for engineers.
That's amazing. And it's happening right now.
Yeah, this is happening right now.
Okay, so then what else did these articles say?
Okay, well, the thing is, it's not just about design.
Oh.
It talks about AI being able to do a lot of those like repetitive tasks. Even things like coming up with initial designs based on certain requirements.
Oh.
So like imagine instead of spending hours on those first drafts, you just like feed the parameters into the AI and boom, you have a starting point.
So it's kind of like AI is taking care of the boring stuff.
Exactly.
And then freeing up engineers to focus on the more interesting stuff.
Exactly. The complex problem solving and like the creative stuff that humans are really good at.
That actually sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, right.
More time for brainstorming and coming up with cool solutions.
Yeah, and it can even go further, like with predictive maintenance.
Oh, how's that work?
And it talked about software like Monolith AI.
Okay.
It helps engineers build these self-learning models to predict how systems will behave.
So, like, it can tell you if something's going to break before it happens.
Yeah, basically. So think about a bridge, for example.
Okay.
It could have sensors, collecting data on vibrations and stress, and then the AI analyzes that data to spot potential problems.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's huge for safety, obviously, preventing disasters before they even happen.
It seems like there are a lot of benefits to using AI in engineering.
If you can automate tasks and identify potential issues early on, projects can run a lot smoother.
And probably save a lot of money, too.
Exactly. Yeah, so on the surface, it seems like a win-win for engineers.
But I'm
Right.
guessing it's not that simple.
No, you're right. It gets a little more complicated when you start asking, can AI really replace human engineers completely?
Right, because, like, as cool as all this stuff sounds,
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining a world without human engineers.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the sources definitely have different viewpoints on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So some experts seem to think AI will mostly free up engineers to focus on the creative side of things. That's still really a human thing.
So, like, even if AI can come up with a design, it might not really understand the implications of that design in the real world.
Exactly. Or like think about all the things that could go wrong that the AI hasn't been trained on.
Right. Right. Like, it's working with a limited data set. It
Exactly.
doesn't have the same kind of intuition that a human engineer would have.
Like it's not about just letting the AI run wild. It's about having engineers working alongside AI, double checking its work
Yeah.
and making sure that it's taking those ethical considerations into account.
It's almost like a partnership then.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually leads to some interesting possibilities. Like this article talks about how we might see these new job roles emerging, like AI integration specialists.
So people who can basically translate between the AI and the human engineers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to understand both sides of the equation.
It's like AI is creating new jobs even as it's changing the existing ones.
Right. And that's a really important point to remember as we go deeper into this topic.
Okay.
We've seen that AI is already having a big impact on engineering.
Hmm.
But the question of whether it'll completely replace humans, that's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, it seems like the real question is how can we use the strengths of both AI and human engineers to create a better future?
Exactly. One thing I'm thinking about is like, how do the skills that engineers need change in this AI future?
Yeah, because it's not like everything just stays the same, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We've been talking about needing human oversight and these new jobs like AI integration specialists.
Yeah.
But like, what else is going to be important?
It seems like engineers will need to be more than just like good at the technical stuff, right?
Yeah, for example, they talked about understanding AI tools and algorithms.
Okay, so not necessarily like being a coding expert.
No, not everyone needs to be a programmer,
Right.
but they need to understand how AI works, like what it's good at and where it might not be so good.
It's like being able to speak the language of AI even if you're not writing it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
What about data analysis? It seems like engineers will need to be comfortable with all that data that AI uses.
Oh, absolutely. Several sources mention that like data science skills are becoming super important for engineers.
Really?
Yeah, things like collecting data, cleaning it, analyzing it, visualizing it.
Wow.
This one article even said that data science might become like a core skill for all engineers in the future.
So it's like a merging of different fields almost.
Yeah, engineers with data skills, data scientists working with engineers. It's definitely a shift from how things used to be.
Yeah, it is. And it makes me think about like the mindset shift too.
Oh, totally.
Like engineers will have to approach their work differently.
Engineers need to move into more complex roles because computers will be more and more able to do the basics.
So it's like moving up the ladder a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Focusing on the areas where human ingenuity is still like essential.
So instead of like crunching numbers or doing basic designs,
Right.
engineers will be focusing on the big picture problem.
Exactly. Coming up with creative solutions.
Yeah.
Like really using their brains.
That honestly sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
Like it's about using AI to help us do more, not to replace us.
Right. And that brings us back to those human skills we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, like communication and collaboration and all that.
Exactly. Like all those soft skills, they're more important than ever in this AI world.
Yeah, because if AI is taking care of the technical stuff,
Right.
then being able to communicate effectively with other people, that becomes even more crucial.
Totally. Like engineers will need to be able to explain complex stuff clearly,
And convince people of their ideas.
Yeah.
It's funny how AI is almost making us appreciate those human qualities even more.
Yeah, right.
Like in a world full of algorithms and automation,
Right.
things like empathy and intuition and ethical judgment, they really stand out.
That's a great point, and it leads us to another important part of this conversation, ethics.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about the need for human oversight.
Right.
But what are some of the specific ethical challenges that engineers will face with AI?
Well, for one thing, there's the issue of bias in algorithms.
Oh, right.
AI systems are trained on data,
Right.
and if that data has biases, those biases can show up in the AI's decisions.
So it's not just about the AI being accurate.
Right.
It's about making sure that it's being used fairly and responsibly.
Exactly, and that's a big responsibility for engineers.
Huge.
And it gets even more complex when you think about the impact of AI on jobs.
Oh, yeah, that's the big question everyone's asking.
Right, some experts think AI will create more jobs, but there's no doubt that some jobs will be lost.
Right.
Engineers will need to be ready for those changes in the workforce.
And maybe even help figure out how to make that transition smoother.
Exactly. So it's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it sounds like engineers need to be more than just technical experts. They need to be leaders and critical thinkers and problem solvers.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But it also sounds kind of exciting,
It is.
Like it's a chance for engineers to really shape the future
Exactly.
and make a positive impact.
For sure. But we haven't even talked about what this all means for engineering jobs as a whole.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, we've talked about the skills and like the ethics of it all. But what does this actually mean for engineering jobs? Are we all going to be out of work?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? Looking at these sources, it's not as doom and gloom as you might think.
Okay, good, because I'm ready for some good news.
Remember that World Economic Forum report, The Future of Jobs,
Yeah.
that was mentioned in one of the articles?
Vaguely. Yeah.
Well, it actually predicts that even though AI will definitely change things, it will probably create more jobs than it eliminates.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so it's not like mass unemployment, but more like a shift in the types of jobs that are needed.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that shift is already happening. Think about those AI integration specialists that we were talking about.
Yeah, those folks who can bridge the gap between the AI and the humans.
Exactly. And the need for those roles is only going to grow.
So it's like they're translators almost,
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
helping the AI and the human engineers understand each other.
And then there's the data scientists.
Oh, right, because AI needs all that data to work.
Exactly. And someone needs to make sure the data is good quality and being analyzed properly.
It's really interesting how all these roles are starting to like overlap.
Yeah, you've got engineers learning data skills, data scientists working on engineering teams. It's a whole new way of working.
And it's not just about specific job titles either, right? Like the California Learning Resource Network article talked about this hybrid approach where AI and human engineers work together more closely.
Yeah, like a true partnership.
AI handling the data crunching and simulations, and humans doing the problem solving and design thinking.
Using the strengths of both.
So AI is more like a tool then.
A very powerful tool.
Yeah, that makes me think about that golden age of engineering that we mentioned before.
Oh, yeah.
Like if AI can take care of all the boring stuff, imagine what engineers could accomplish.
Exactly. We could tackle those huge challenges that have been holding us back.
That's future I can get behind.
It's not about being afraid of AI. It's about using it to make things better.
Right, and it sounds like the key is to be adaptable and keep learning.
Totally. One of the articles said, engineers who implement AI will replace and advance beyond other engineers.
Wow, that's a pretty strong statement.
It is. It means we can't just sit back and wait. We have to be proactive.
Yeah, we have to shape the future.
Exactly. And that's something we all need to be thinking about no matter what our role is.
You know what really struck me during this whole conversation is that it's been so human-centric.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, it's not just about the technology itself. It's about us and how we adapt and learn and use these tools to create a better world.
I totally agree. AI might be the catalyst, but it's ultimately up to us to decide what the future of engineering looks like.
So it's not a question of if AI will change engineering.
It already is.
The question is, how are we going to respond to that change?
That's a great way to put it, and that's why we want to hear from you, our listeners. What are your thoughts on all of this? What stood out to you? What questions do you still have?
Share your insights, because the future of engineering is a conversation we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely.
And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.